Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hedin, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Mesa, Arizona. With me this week is Jason Kimmel, currently with Flooring Liquidators. However, maybe some would consider him royalty of flooring here. His grandfather started the Floors to Go franchise. He's then had his own flooring store up until recently, where he was hired on by Flooring Liquidators to handle their social media. And so he has a long history within the flooring industry. He's seen a lot of changes over the years. And we're going to get into advertising for your company and really what that needs to look like, why you need to stay on the cutting edge, because the way Jason's grandpa used to do it would have been yellow page ads, newspaper ads, methods that if you were to put money in today are going to get absolutely no return on investment for. They look cute, they might be pretty, but really who's looking in those areas? We might even be able to get into talking about BBB. I bet grandpa was probably really big on having a BBB membership, and these days I get that question, I think, from people over 60, but anybody else is looking at Google is reign supreme for reviews and what your company means. And so we're going to talk through some of these things of the evolution of where advertising has gone, what we can do to really promote our company, and some of the changes that Jason has seen in the industry. Before we get started, I let him introduce himself. Floor Academy is your weekly source. Every Wednesday, a new episode comes out. You get to listen in to the conversations I have with other professionals within our industry to help you move your business forward. If you start taking little bites, little golden nuggets out of every episode and implementing them into your company, those 1% changes are going to add up. And so it may not seem like a difference is happening over a week, a month, a quarter, but a year down the road, you are going to have a significantly different company. And that's what I want. I want everyone to actually run a company they're happy with, that takes up less of their time instead of more, lets them go and accomplish their dreams, whether that's spending more time with your family, taking a vacation, being able to invest into rental properties, whatever that may be for you. I want to help you get there by giving you the advice that we don't have time to go get, right? The motto of the show is learn while you earn. I know I don't have time to go to college, and you don't either, especially if you're the guy out on the floor doing all the work. So if you can take a little bit, listen to a show every week, and start applying some things, you're going to drastically change your business. Thanks to our sponsors for doing the show. We'll hear a little bit more about them later. And I think that's probably enough out of me for now. So, Jason, who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Yeah, I appreciate the intro. Hopefully this will be one of the better podcasts for people that get some value out of. I'm the digital manager at Flooring Liquidators. That might be a shock if you knew me before. I was the owner of Vineyard Floors in Lodi, a mobile flooring store with a trailer that we brought to your house. That was doing pretty good, but to be honest, as a small business owner, I was frustrated doing like $1 to $1.5 million in sales. I want to make a bigger impact in the flooring industry, and having a small business makes it, it just wasn't fitting my desires of what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I was given the opportunity to come over to Flooring Liquidators, and I had a vision that it would give me a platform to make a bigger impact on the flooring industry. And so far, proven to be accurate. It's been really nice for the first 2 months.
Good. That's so give us a little bit, right? I kind of touched on it, and we talked previously, but grandpa started Floors to Go franchise, sold that to Abby, but I mean, really you've grown up in the industry. I'm sure there's, you probably grew up in a shop sleeping on carpet pad rolls or something.
Sleeping every summer break. So pretty much every summer break I would come down from the time I was in, I don't remember. It was all the time. There was no start. Every summer break, I would go with my dad to the flooring store. And so it started as playing at the flooring store, and then it grew into sweeping, then it grew into warehouse work, and, then it morphed into selling and, managing. So, right as I came out of high school, I started, being a salesperson at my dad's flooring stores. and then a manager, a little bit constrained because of that father-son relationship and not having the full ability to be a manager. But, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Good bonding time for me and my father. It's, for me, it's one of our better memories.
Okay. No, awesome. I mean, it's got to be, as a guy that stumbled into it, I found a really great industry to be a part of, and it's fun for me to hear stories of people that have grown up in it, because I think we end up with two different perspectives sometimes of people that have grown up in it. They're just kind of, a lot of them have settled into like, oh, this is the way it's always been, and you don't strike me as that guy. And it doesn't sound like, once again, from our previous conversation, setting this all up, like Grandpa wasn't that guy either. Like he would stay out on the cutting edge or looking for like, how do I keep everything moving forward, instead of just saying like, this is the way we've always done it, so this is the way we're going to do that. I think that's one of your strengths, is that you're willing to look outside of the norm and, okay, how do I start using different technologies to advance the message so that I can continue to grow a business?
Yeah, to reach customers, to get that message out of that we are like the better company for them to go to. Like you want to do that stretch and get in front of them. So using software, using social media, I'm always posting and trying to get the message out there. But for like business wise, I'm always looking for like, how do we create the most value for customers?
Mm-hmm.
That was the mobile showroom idea, is to eliminate sitting at the store waiting for customers, and then eliminate the purchase process that normally takes, goes from going to the store, getting a sample, going home, scheduling a measure, and just bundling it all in one appointment.
Okay. So just make it a little more convenient, a little bit easier, and you're removing the stopping blocks, right? Because you're there, you have the samples, you can measure it, and then you can just say, okay, here's your price, right? Now there's no more like, oh, I got to go write it up, or I got to call somebody and get this info. Like anything you can do to remove a roadblock to closing the deal is a positive.
It removes a lot of frustrations. We were not a high pressure close company like some of the shop at homes. And same thing for here at Flooring Liquidators. They have shop at home. They're not high pressure sales process. And that's the only thing that would kill high shop at home, is the high pressure sales. But you're got the product in their house. It's in their lighting. They're seeing it against their furniture. You're measuring while they're negotiating between husband and wife, or, spouses, and you give them a quote. A lot of times my process was, I asked them if they wanted a quote on the spot or they wanted it emailed. And so those two options let them feel like they're in control.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they wanted it by email, then I would leave, and I would typically drive around the block and put the quote together and email it. And then if they wanted it in the house, I would do it right there.
Okay.
And there was no pressure. So a lot of sales for us, our close rate was not so much in the house. They would call. We had name brand products, which that was probably our biggest killer, is the fact that we didn't cross label. Here at Flooring Liquidators, it's already the lowest, like lower pricing. So
yeah, that's a whole different, you're in a whole different ball game now, between where you were probably trying to run your retail shop versus where Flooring Liquidators tries to run margin wise. It's two different businesses, because you're probably selling top dollar to get, higher end clients versus selling at lowest margins possible to be profitable but get business. Like the online model is just very, very different, which I think that's where this advertising discussion gets a little interesting, because this online sales process is still, it's not new, but it's not the norm yet, but it's becoming that way, right? We're all getting addicted to being able to go on Amazon and have something arrive at our door 2 days later, or next day if we're lucky. And so within that, it's, the flooring is changing, and it doesn't have to be that you have to go into the showroom and set up an appointment, bring home a sample. Somebody comes out a couple days later, looks everything over, gives you the bid, tries to close you in house. Maybe they email it to you now and make it a little less pressure. But where's that evolution? Kind of start with me, like, for sure Grandpa was using, Yellow Page and newspaper ads. If not, maybe at some point he got into radio or
Our
local
no, it
television
was
stations.
TV. Yeah, for Forced to Go back in the day, the big one was the radio and TV, and we had a jingle. Prices are low at Forced to Go, and like, I mean, I was there in like 2010, and people were saying that jingle, and that jingle was from like the 80s or something. So um, jingles work really well.
Oh, well, sure, man. I look 588-2300. Like I grew
Yeah.
up here in the Empire, man. I can't.
Yeah.
They're in your head. That's for sure.
I don't know if he did newspaper as much because he was big on that. My dad did a lot of newspapers. He did a lot of SACB advertising, and I experienced that more of. I remember working with him and being like, "Hey, we should try this Google Ads." It's like right when Google was about to, right when you should try Google Ads, and he was, I don't know. I was like, oh, yeah, and he like wouldn't give me a budget for it. And we did like a $5,000 newspaper ad. He was like, yeah, we're doing a huge sell. It's only go this weekend, and nobody, crickets.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what did that evolution look like? Because you were around long enough, you had to hear discussions at the dinner table or something of, look, we're doing this or that. And so he runs this $5,000 ad and nobody shows up. But 10 years before that, a $5,000 ad probably would have had your store packed for the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and home shows, I mean, at the same time, home shows, this is like 2008. This is right when I started. It was right in the heart of the recession. So it was getting harder and harder every year during that time. And I mean, home shows used to do 100,000 plus. We were going to home shows and getting sales. You would sit at the store and wait for maybe 1, 2, 3 customers because it was getting scarce, where the store was normally full of 20 customers a day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good for me on a learning experience on that, because it forced me to have to make a sell. Like, this might be my only customer. I have to sell them flooring.
Okay. And I think that's kind of where we're coming back around to, which is where this conversation kind of comes relevant. Is I know definitely in Phoenix things have slowed down, and so there's a matter of, if I used to be able to close 3 to 4, average like 35% close rate or so out of 10 clients. Well, now I need 20 leads to do the same thing, and so I've got to either get better at sales, or I've got to find a way to generate more leads. And the traditional methods that I've been using aren't doing it because there's less people looking. So either something has to change, right? Is it the messaging? Is it the method? Is it the sales process? Is it all of them, right? If I start making changes that are going to bring in more people, but I can close better and the messaging is better, then now I'm winning all over the place. And so where have you kind of started with the social media stuff to really draw people in that you feel is working to gain attention?
Hands down, the reels right now, and short form, vertical, it's been working. Working more than I thought it would work. Because when I was at Vineyard Floors, I would put a lot of paid posts. I'd boost the posts, and that worked well. Mm-hmm. When I came here, it took some time to get into the accounts and get access to them, and there's a little bit of a delay of setting up the budgets for doing that stuff. So we had to do it without paid advertising on those. And I was surprised on what the short form would do for, growing organic views. Mm-hmm. And so that's just free advertising. The more you could do that and you post, and that's another opportunity for a lead, or at least to create that bond between, your message with the customers that might want flooring in the future.
Okay. And how many people follow the Flooring Liquidators page that you can post reels from? And then how many views are you were you getting at the beginning versus kind of what you're getting now? And this has only been 2 months of you doing this.
2 months. Yeah. I've been pulling up the 90-day data when I pull on Instagram for the one, and our growth for followers is 25%. So every day is getting better because I'm 45 days into a 90-day, analytic. But our view reach is like, and they have followers of, I think we have like 850 right now. Not a lot. Nothing crazy for their followers. I am kind of blending that with my personal channel, and that has followers. So we're collaborating to get the growth over there a little bit, but that's not really translating too much into beating the system of Instagram. But we have reached 11,000 people in 90 days, which is really 45, and our engagement is up like 1,600%. So it's been good.
And you're not making anything fancy. Like, this is you talking about a product for 30 to 60 seconds or showing off a piece of, like, it's not anything super detailed. It's not a sales pitch. It's just basic information.
It's just PK, just a little bit of product knowledge. We have a videographer here, but I've kind of brought him into a phone videographer because I'm like, no, let's dial it down. Let's just film and go. But you can see he does really great editing. And Chris, he makes me look really good. He'll go put something together and say, here. And I'm like, oh, cool, post it. And, it does really well. I mean, it's, and that's one of the things, actually, I kind of came here thinking like, oh, I have an opportunity. I'm going to sidetrack a little bit just to shout out to all the people here. But I thought I had an opportunity. I worked with Steve Kellogg and Ryan Burns, and really this entire office, entire company, like everybody here is like rock stars, and they do their job. They work really well. Like, it's just been amazing, the amount of people that are here and the coworkers. So that's made it easy.
So, I mean, how are we needing to, like, what can I do as a small business guy, right, in order to, besides just making the content, I think one, just knowing how people feel about a camera, like get over it is going to be my first bit of advice. But it just doesn't matter what you think you look like. You're not as goofy or dumb or like, just make the content, right? Just put something out there. It'll get easier, but I still struggle doing this. And this is now 3.5 years of just recording my voice, but we're over a year now with the videos. I don't remember when I started, but it's still not super comfortable for me. Like, I can go to services and have to get up on stage, and I get nervous to be in front of an audience, and yet I'm constantly in front of an audience. And so I don't know that you ever truly get used to it. There's always something, but just make content, because I think that's the society we live in now, is people want that they're made to consume at this point, which we won't go down that path of discussing whether that's good or bad or not, but we're just constantly consuming content. And so now, if you're not making it, it seems that you're not going to stand out. You have no chance to stand out because there's nothing for people to know about you.
Yeah, I mean, just put your content out there. I don't care. Like, when I got here, they weren't done like putting together like a little studio in the corporate office, and I was just like, I wrote a script, let's just do a video. Like, it was really just to see if I could do it. Like, it was like, let's just see. If it's horrible, we're going to have to find someone else. I was like, okay, yeah, I could do that. And it worked out, and I was like, yeah, I like that. Okay, I could do these. But it doesn't have to be you. Like, you could film your products and talk from the back. You have a ton of content from the manufacturers. You could post their stuff and repost it and edit it and and put music to some of their videos and then repost what they put out there, because that's your content to use, because you're supply, you sell their products. Mm-hmm. And if you want to make it work even better, you could boost it. So it's cheap to boost. It's still an affordable way to reach people.
Okay.
And I say boost because, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
Oh, well, boost. We've done some like beta testing, and boosts work just as good as sometimes like actually getting in there and doing like a meta advertising program. And you know how they say you have to set it up through the meta ad and
Mm-hmm.
boost have just the same amount of performance.
Okay. Yeah, ads can get complicated, and you're after two different things, I think, between trying to run like an actual Facebook campaign with an ad versus what you're trying to garner with, hey, we're here, we have this product, like check out this quick 1 minute reel. I mean, you get 60 seconds to convey an idea, and so you aren't able to get into a whole lot, right? Oh, hey, we have this new product, it would be great in these applications, come on down and let us know, and we've filled 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So what are you looking to, besides, are you looking to start giving like any install advice? Are you, besides just doing like the product knowledge stuff, or what other content are you putting out that's garnering the most attention? Like, are you seeing that certain things appeal more to the audience than others?
Well, yeah, we have a whole calendar. We have a calendar for content that we post out. You know, where they're at. I mean, it's just Google Sheets, but I mean, we have it by the month, where they're at, what the content we want to make, and we have a lot. Like to go into like installation videos, funny ones, comparison videos. We have a huge list of content that we want to make, and it's just really just going through there and picking it. And then sometimes Steve Kellogg will say, hey, give us some ideas, and those become top of the lists for us. So then we scratch some of the other ones, move them down, put whatever products he wants out there on the top of the list, which happened to be one of our best ones. He wanted a stair tread one with their stair treads. And so we quickly put that together, and I think it's gotten like 6,000 views, which is, I mean, my goal right now is to get a 10,000 plus view video. I think we just posted it today, to be honest. We had one we made with a videographer, outside videographer, Joe Pony. And it's got basically he walks from the van, from his house to the van, you open the van, and then boom, you're in the store. And then it's like a store tour. And yeah, so the idea of shop at home, bring the store to you.
Yeah.
And the video's great. Like I just posted it, like I was finishing posting it right before we got on this podcast.
Okay. No, I mean, that sounds like a great idea. And I like the concept of, okay, we're just going to leave our house and all of a sudden now we're in the store, but I didn't have to go anywhere. I just went outside. And so you're conveying this idea of shop at home. And I like that. I like that you have the content calendar. I think a lot of people struggle of like, oh, what am I going to do? And if you would just take, I mean, how long did it really take you to come up with that? I'm sure it was, you don't have to fight through it, right? But if you can spend 20 minutes coming up with a couple of ideas and you slowly build out this calendar, and look, they're quick, they're easy, right? If you're going to, as an installer, if you're going to show up and you're doing an install that day and you want to talk about how to properly use a tapping block, well, one day you're going to use a tapping block. So find the minute to like go over, look, it's a tapping block for a reason. It's not a beating block. Okay. So we need to do it like this. And then you can talk about edge curl, help DIYers out, help people understand why they would need to be able to hold an installer in their home accountable to how it's happening, right? They can point out, like, I hate it. I would hate if a homeowner's pointing stuff out to me, but they're going to know that they hired a bad company and they need to call people out.
Yeah. Well, I actually kind of just thought it right now, but like just everything that you probably have written or other people have written on their website, like your how-to, the installation process, the what to expect before the install happens. Nobody's reading them, even your terms and services, make it a video. Nobody reads anymore. Nobody has time. We're shortened on the amount of time we have, and we're multitasking all the time. I mean, I'm big for that. I use Speechify, and I'll listen to emails while I drive. I'll if I do write lines for a video, I will, play them on the phone over and over as I drive to work. So I mean, that's just the constraint of time. I read in the car on Audible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same thing. You know, this is where the I think the podcast is really helpful. I don't have time to go to college. I don't want to read a book when I get home. I want to be able to pay attention to my family, sit down with them, eat dinner, have a conversation, so I can listen to the music I've been listening to for 20 years, which isn't getting any better. It's not getting worse, but it's not getting any better. Or I can put on Audible or, you know, some audiobook I've downloaded from somewhere else and start listening to that, get an education. I can put on a couple of podcasts, get an education from other business professionals, because look, I'm not, what am I going to do? Stop installing and go to college? That
Yeah.
doesn't pay the bills. And I can go at night, sure, but I've already got plans. I've got places to take kids off to and all these other things. So you have to find a way to fit it in. And once again, we're in this consumption society to where there's too much content. It's absolutely obnoxious, but it's only becoming more and more acceptable to most people. They want to be consumers. Not everyone's as turned off by me and tries to look. I fall into it too, but I'd like to get away from it, to be honest. But anyways, I mean, you can pull it up and you just need something to get in front of them, right? We just need to grab attention. And I think a lot of people are caught up in it needs to look good. It needs to look amazing. And honestly, look, I'm a contractor. You're a store owner. We, you know, yes, I went to film school, folks, but that's honestly my biggest problem, is because I want to make it professional quality, and it drives me nuts when I don't, but I know that I don't have to for this industry. That's not what the homeowner expects. That's not the size of your business. Flooring Liquidators, maybe a little different. You guys are a very large company. Is there a budget? Yes. Is it worth it? Probably not, because they're more interested in what's the quick content as opposed to does it look pretty or not.
Yeah. I mean, creating value. I mean, that's the big thing. That's kind of like where I like being here too. Or if I were to get into that, is to me, it's all about value. Part of value is I feel like Linear Floors was a little bit overpriced on our pricing, and we were sometimes not providing our customers the best value. But we had to have our pricing where it was to make enough money for pay the bills. And you know, here we get based on size, we get to lower the margins, but to me, I like that because I mean, the goal is to provide the best value. So, you know, at lowest prices, a better value, better installation quality. So like, you know, I think we talked earlier in the week that we're doing basically Ardex PKs for the salespeople and a feather finish demo for the installers at a store. Mm-hmm. And, you know, again, that's content, and, you know, but that's also, you know, get everyone educated. The more everyone's educated on using the proper products, you know, the better our installation is going to get. And, you know, if we could match that with good pricing. And it's not like, I never look at flooring like a competition, like when they had a store next door and someone saying, oh, don't open his account. I'm like, it is what it is. I mean, we're all just working, and business is nice. There's so much work that if you just focus on what you do and focus on being the best version of yourself and providing the focus on the customers, that you know, you're going to do fine. People will call you when you do a good job. They'll call you back. They'll refer their friends.
I agree. I think that you do need to focus on you. There's plenty of work going around to keep everyone busy, but at the same time, creating the content is going to help keep you in front of people. But I'm also a big believer in a lot of people with the older school installers, the baby boomers, early Gen Xers, I find are very against like giving away the keys to the kingdom. They want to hold everything really tight to the chest, and you know, I can't teach you how to install this way, or I don't want to teach you how to sell to the best of your abilities, because if I do, then you're going to leave and you're going to take everything with you, and then you're going to be my competition and you're going to put me out of business. And what I find is I'd rather tell the homeowners how to do it themselves. Because honestly, they probably won't want to. By the time I'm done explaining how much of a pain in the ass it is, they're going to say, you know what, it's worth every penny. And I think that's where a lot of these companies that are out there can excel using like the short form media. Go show people how much it sucks, right? Like show them that it's sexy and it can look good and that, you know, these products are amazing. But let's talk about what it actually takes to get it there, right? You start talking about some of the prep work necessary. No one's going to go and buy a $600 paddle mixer and a 16-gallon barrel and a mixing cart and start self-leveling their house. Yeah. Because it's not worth the investment. It's easier to pay somebody to come in and do it. And at least I'd rather get that part of the project because it's more profitable anyways. And then let them install themselves. Because to be honest, installing the product, especially with, you know, everyone wants to say that the Click products are DIY, and they are once you get to the install. It's the prep process that's not. Let's help them get to the point where they can do it themselves, but let's give them a good substrate, right? Let's help them do it, you know. Shoot, there's probably a business model in offering installation consulting for DIYers.
Oh, probably. Yeah, that's probably true. There you go. You got a new business right there.
God, I don't have time for it. But somebody take that idea and run with it. Look, you could do it over a video chat probably and run with it. I'm not interested. Somebody else take that one and run with it. But there's probably something there.
The clientele that's going to call that is not going to be fun.
No.
What do you mean?
Correct. You want me to pay you $100 an hour to sit here and look at a video? Yes, I do, because I've earned it. But there's probably something.
The table saw. They're like a table saw. They're they're bring out a little old school hand saw. Like, no, not that.
Correct. But there's probably something there. But I'm big on let's get you educated, and I think that's where the short form media that you're working with really excels and draws attention, because at the end of the day, it's Flooring Liquidators giving away that info, or it's Illustrious Hardwoods giving away that info, or Floor Academy giving away that info. I'm going to remember that. And when my friends need help, it's, oh, hey, this company is really reliable, go to them. And I think that's where the advantage is that you're building top of mind presence, as opposed to, I just need to close this one deal. Yeah.
And when I started in the social media, like it was so easy to get organic growth. Like you just posted something and just Facebook let everybody see it that thought that it would be interesting to them. And now you have little niches like reels and shorts, and those get organic. The other ones get nothing. So the other formats, you have to mix it in, but they're for the people that are like following you hardcore. That's the only people that are going to probably see that. Like maybe if you had like 2,000 followers, maybe 100, maybe less than 100 would actually see your post on an actual post. But your reel, if it does really well, could get to thousands and hopefully soon hundreds of thousands and millions. I've had one actually before I came here go to 125,000 on my personal about vinyl plank. I just did a video. We were doing a training, and just after training, I just said, "Hey, we do a quick video," and I just grabbed vinyl. And I was like, "Hey, here's the vinyl everyone's talking about. But like, it's great, except," and the one that we had scratched really easy, so I scratched it. And it's like, you could scratch. Threw it out, and then I got a Revwood product, and drummed on it with my keys, and that one got 125,000 views on it. Didn't really translate into money for me, maybe because it was on my personal, but and it went probably nationwide where I needed it to be local.
Somebody was selling Revwood because of it. Mohawk's happy.
I'm sure somebody sold Revwood, sold it to Revwood. The funny thing about these manufacturers is it's been difficult to get them to collaborate, even at our level. I've been reaching out to Mohawk, and I deleted that post because it was Vineyard Floors related. So I've been slowly deleting all Vineyard Floor stuff. And I reached out to somebody who's supposed to be the social media communicator at Mohawk, and I said, "Hey, got this video. It had done 125,000 views. Like, you guys want me to send it to you for you to post? And they're just like, oh, like, no. Like, I was like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, I get it. Let's dive into that in just 1 second. I'm going to interrupt us here real quick. A couple words from the sponsors. GoBoard is engineered for durability, yet up to 80% lighter than cement boards. Easy to cut and handle. It can be cut on site, right where it's installed, using a basic utility knife. It won't even crumble or disintegrate. Best of all, the waterproofing is built in. GoBoard half-inch thick 48 by 68 inch panels are now available. Ask your supplier to bring it on for you. Visit www.jm.com/GoBoard for more information. Introducing the ultimate solution for flooring contractors, a cloud-based virtual estimating software. Get accurate and detailed estimates in minutes without ever leaving the job site or even your office. With features like real-time collaboration, project management tools, and automatic material calculations, you'll have the information you need to close deals faster and more efficiently than ever before. Try it today and experience the future of flooring estimating. Check out the link in the show notes to demo the program or visit estimates.flooracademypod.com. Okay, Jason. So, I mean, this is kind of with the discussion we were having earlier, right? Like, there's this old school guard, antiquated flooring industry, and look, Mohawk's a powerhouse. I'm not, there's multiple companies that are in that space, right? I mean, Delta's the flooring capital of the world, but there's a lot of companies that have been around for years and years. And whether it's leadership or the age of the people, I don't know what creates it, but they're less willing to look at new ways of doing things. And so you already have a video with 125,000 views. You reach out to them and you're like, you want anything to do with this? You want to be able to promote it to your audience, put it out there, help grow it. It's obviously promoting your product really well, and it falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, it was like do you want this for free?
Mm-hmm.
To the social media communicator. And I'm like, and she's like, she gave me you'd have to email Mohawk Social at Gmail. I'm like, why does Mohawk have a Gmail account? Like, why would it not be Mohawk Inc.? This doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not going to email this a Gmail account. And that's just part of professionalism, right? It just, to me, I don't feel secure. I mean, probably fine, but I need to see the company name on the back of an email. Those type of things. But yeah, it's just the old school way of how they do things. I think Mohawk is just so big, and there's so many different people that the communication's, probably a little bit broken. And on that side, that's probably why.
Well,
because
I agree, right? There's probably leadership in place that's, we've been doing it 20 years. It's not broken. Let's not fix it, which isn't a great thing. And I noticed that a lot of places, whereas it appears, Flooring Liquidators was just purchased for a large sum of money. So there's people doing really great things there, but it appears that management wants to be on the cutting edge of things as opposed to trying to play catch up or saying, this is the way the industry's always done it, we're not going to change, which has allowed you to come in and have your position and do what you're doing. And that's a huge difference. And that's where I think a lot of companies struggle, especially small businesses, is they're not willing to put in the time and find the new thing. Now, granted, I've been doing flooring 7 years, and it's gone from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, and how long, each one, its time of reigning has been shorter. So how long is TikTok really going to be the thing? I mean, within the next 6 months, I wouldn't be surprised if everyone's being told to switch to another platform already. But you have to be willing to adapt and change, in my opinion. And so how much of that did you see Grandpa and Dad do versus you doing versus now working at Flooring Liquidators they're doing?
My grandfather adapted a lot. I mean, that was big for him. He was he changed his store structures. He was kind of the first, like, grab and go, flooring store, full of stock. I mean, not the first, but he was one of the first bigger ones. And that was the model for that business. And then he franchised it, so he was very adaptive. I can't give my dad a lot of credit on adaptive because he just because it was already successful. But he's very business savvy on him. So he's more the old school way. This is the way I do it. And this is the way Grandpa did it. And this is the way it's going to be done. For me, yeah, I'm just flexible. Like it just, everything's like, I guess I'll give my dad some credit on this where I look bad bashing him too much. He, I don't know if it's credit, but he raised me like rules. He kind of like said rules are made to be broken. So like I kind of live on that, like, well, there's rules there, but if it benefits to break it, then go for it. If there's if it's a win for everyone. So for shop at home, the idea that, like you said, that it's hard to get accounts for people that are trying to do shop at home if they don't have a store. That was my thing. You're a salesperson. I would go out there and I would sell. Like I would look at this shop. This shop at home is different. And I would bring it to them. I would like tell them I have a store. Sometimes I'd set them up. I'd tell them I had a store, and I'd show up with my truck and trailer back in the days. And I'd be like, no, but look at this. And they're like, God, that is pretty good. And I was like, okay, let's go. So, and it's similar here. I mean, if you got a great idea, you could kind of just run with it and get a little bit going, and they'll give you a little bit of that freedom. There's some stuff I want to work on that I can't talk about because we haven't done yet, but I have some ideas to do that will, I think one particular one that's very unique, and if I get to do it here, when everyone sees it, everyone's going to be like, we should have thought about that 10 years ago. So.
Okay. Well, we'll have to keep an eye out. No, you're fine. It's like, I get it, man. You got trade secrets. You gotta keep them in the bag until it's time for them to be out there. But I think it's funny that, you say Grandpa was like, okay, we're going to go this way. Dad's the like straight and narrow, like, okay, this is what's made it happen. So we're going to keep doing it. And yet he's encouraging you to be like, rules are made to be broken. And that was one thing that like film school taught me, was everyone, we had to sit there and analyze films, and we had to know all the theory behind it. But then the teachers are showing us like, okay, watch this movie because they're going to break the rule. Well, it works in that instance because it was to create tension in some way, or, help move the story along in a different way. And they were like, you have to know them. You have to know the rules so that you can break them appropriately, right? You can't just go breaking the rules. If everybody wanted to hop on the highway today and go 90 miles an hour, there's going to be a bunch of crashes because not everyone's capable of doing that safely. So there's a reason that we can only go 65 or 70 or whatever your state's speed limit is, or there's a reason that we have to have stop signs and stoplights and use them if everyone just decided to start ignoring them. But are there situations to where you want to make a left on a red? Sure. If I'm in a foreign country and a weird car pulls up and tries to block me in, I'm going to make a left on red or whatever, is against the law there to get out of the situation. And I'm going to find a safe way to do it. So yes, I have to know and respect it, but it's okay to go outside of the box. And I think more small business owners need to be willing to say, well, this is kind of where we are, and this is where the line is, but what happens when we cross it and we do something that's a little outside of our norm? That's where you start generating attention. And I think, well, for a lot of people, the short form media is a place where they can go and get attention. And, once again, I get it. We talked about it already. Being on camera is super uncomfortable. You brought up some really great points earlier of, you can just show the product. You can just show the tools. You can just show the stuff. You voice it over behind, right? And you don't even have to. Go get your kids involved, right? Have them voice it over. You have AI now. You can record your voice and it's going to make you sound like somebody else. You can type it and the computer will read it. Like, you don't even have to do it. You just have to make the content.
I've done a couple of those where you go on TikTok, you put it in text, would kind of like then take the text and like throw it to the side, or you could just create the text, let the AI say what you wanted to say. I'm sure there's a better platform for this, but then save that video, and then I have a feature on an app that you could then take the audio from a video and throw it on a different video. There's tons of tools. The tools are unlimited. What's out there for you to do?
Well, no one has an excuse anymore, correct?
Yeah, and it's not a lot of time. Social media is, I'm not just the social media guy here, and I would be bored if I was. And social media is not unless you're managing a lot, not a full job, in my opinion.
How long, right? So ideally, right, I think that's going to be the thing and that's my excuse, right? Is like, I'm trying to get an install done. I've got 8 hours. I got to go get this install done. What does it really take? 5 minutes maybe out of my day. What does it take, to go set something up, have some products in the back, talk about them for a minute, and then turn around and say, you know what, I don't even care about the editing, and post it to a couple of platforms.
I mean, so on my personal channel, I post a lot of workout videos just because, I don't know, just because I want to. It's fun to me. And I bought an Insta360 X3. I put the tripod up, do a workout. On my way home, I put the chip into my phone, so it's quicker. They have a feature where they let AI let and edit the entire video, put music on it, and then a lot of times then I would then scrap their music and then put like a different video talk on it. But I basically edit that video as I drive home. I just plug it in and let it just do its rendering.
Okay. So, I mean, you're not even getting into the weeds on it. There's, even with the podcast, like I have to go in, I got to cut out a little bit of the front end of bumpers when it counts down. I cut out a little bit on the back end, but for the most part, I adjust some levels on the audio, and that's it. Like, folks, I'm not spending a ton of time editing these things up. I'm not going to go find all the ums and ahs. That's where I started 3.5 years ago. And it was a complete waste of my time, because none of you were reaching out and saying, oh, I don't like the ums and the ahs. I mean, can I get better at speaking professionally? Yes. And I'm working on it. It's not worth the time to spend there, because it doesn't make a difference at the end of the day a whole lot. So I think that's just go film the content. And then if you have to trim it a little bit, trim it, but don't get caught up in the weeds of trying to make it perfect. Just get something out there, because the next guy has nothing too. And when you both have nothing, how do you stand out?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to feel better about getting started anywhere, you get any social media person that you probably follow. If you scroll to their very first video, it was probably awful. Mr. Beast's first video was awful. Marquise Brownlee's first video was awful. I mean, they start and they get a little better every time. They look at it, they see the analytics, but go, no one liked when I did that. Stop doing that. People liked when I said this. Let's keep on saying that. And it's just, and that's getting, to me, too much into it. I mean, it really is just post and go. Like, if you're an installer, you're doing installation, you bought that Insta360, you put it in the middle of your room, you did the installation process, and then you just did little cuts. And like I said, it has AI editing. So you just say, yeah, I'll let AI do the whole thing. And it does cuts and turns, and it's a 360 camera, it gets the whole thing. You could definitely, if you're an installer, you can get some good content with just a $500 camera. I mean, that's expensive, but I mean, worth it.
I mean, it is. It's not. It's.
You could sell it the next day, buy it used.
A $500 camera, and I sell one project, I've got my money back. If I sell 5 projects because of it, then it's it's truly a great investment at that point. I don't. Personally, I can't get hung up on stuff like that, right? It's because I'm the guy that if I see a $2,000 tool that I want, but it can save me 20 minutes a day. Over the next year, I'm going to make that money back, guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Mine is devaluing over time for like different newer stuff coming out. I mean, you could buy one on eBay for probably $350, $400, and you know that after a month you can sell it for $350, $400. You know, so that's one of the things I look at when people buy stuff. I bought that Insta360. I had bought a GoPro Fusion 360 camera that took too long to edit, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I bought my wife a Echo Show calendar that was like $200. I forget what else I sold, but I returned the Echo Show. So I had bought the Amazon their Scribe, the Kindle Scribe, and I didn't like it. I returned that. So it was like I just came up on $800 from this. I sold the GoPro, I returned the Echo, and I returned the Scribe, and I was like, I'm gonna use that money to buy this camera. So, it doesn't actually cost that money you're buying it for.
There's that. I mean, and a lot of people, I can walk around the shows now where I go out and I have my camera that I'm using here to film this, and I have another one, so I have two bodies of the same model, and everyone's like, oh man, look, wow, you got a fancy camera. And I'm like, no, not really. And they're like, yeah, but no, look at it. Like, it's big and it has all these things, and you have that expensive, like, big lens on it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it costs some money, but it's not. The camera's from 2008. When I was finishing up film school, I graduated in 2009 from film school. This camera had just come out. It was the big thing that you could use a DSLR to do video with and get that cinematic look without having to buy the actual expensive $30,000 camera, right? You could buy the camera at the time. The body was probably like $2,000, and then you buy some lenses, and for $3,000, you're making professional looking videos. So here I am in 2021, 2022 buying them so I can pick up the bodies for like $400. All the lenses are used, and I'm picking those up. I don't need them. I want them. And so I'm trolling Craigslist, and someone has a lens for $900. It's within the going rate. I see that they have it up for 2 weeks, and I come along and I'm like, well, I'll give you $7, but I'll bring you cash right now. I don't want to pay top dollar. And if they tell me no, they tell me no. I'll wait in 2 weeks. Somebody else will have one up that's been sitting for 2 weeks, and I'll make them the same offer. And so don't get hung up. Like, you don't need the latest and greatest. Would I like to have the $4,000 setup of the newest thing from Canon and be making 4K videos? Sure, that would be enjoyable to me. I like nice toys. Do I need it? No. This camera shoots in 1080. 1080 works just fine. Most of us these days, sadly, are used to not that the quality from a phone is garbage anymore, but they make good videos, but they're not professional. There's definitely better cameras, let alone we've warped our minds and everyone expects portrait format now instead of landscape, because all the apps have switched us, which is really weird to me, especially coming from that film background. But you're getting hung up on the wrong details. Like, you don't need the latest and greatest stuff. You can go buy a $200 camera and start making content. You can use your phone and make content. It doesn't matter. Just make the content.
I believe Marquise Brownlee, that's one of the big YouTubers. He does his auto reviews on iPhone just to kind of see if there's a difference between because when they do their Marquise Brownlee episodes, they have like a robot arm that moves the camera. They have all types of fancy tools, like the best cameras you could have. But on the auto reviews, just to kind of compare the two, he uses his cell phone.
And they work fine. People still watch. They love them. I think that's the point. Is especially if as a contractor, right? And that's where the bulk of my audience is here. But even for the flooring retailers, stop getting hung up on pretty. Just make something. They want something. Tell a great story that's compelling and draws attention. Solve a problem. I know you were talking about doing product knowledge earlier. Look, I don't care if it's got a 6 mil wear layer, 20 mil wear layer, or it's 5 millimeters thick, or whatever the SPC flooring is going to be. You can talk about that. The product knowledge I would hit on is, hey, Fido can come and lap water all he wants all over this floor. Nothing's going to happen. That's the knowledge that Mrs. Jones wants, because Fido is just messing up her wood floor right now because this water is just pooling. Now, granted, you could just tell her to put a towel down, but hey, let's try and sell some flooring, right? So let's find an actual problem to solve, because at the end of the day, the wear layer doesn't solve a problem. It does in a roundabout way, but Mrs. Jones doesn't care about a wear layer. She cares about, can I walk through my house with my heels, or can my kid roller skate on it because they're being ignorant in the morning and not listening to me, and here they come through on their play school $20 roller skates.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even for our videos, we post a lot about the specs, because it's the kind of the basic. But yeah, I mean, when I'm selling in person, I don't go through the specs like that.
That's what the manufacturers want, and that's not what sells.
Yeah, when I'm selling in person, it's not really selling the product to the customer. It's selling the fact that you're expert and that you believe that this is the best product for them, and honestly believing it, not having a, like really hearing their things, seeing that they're coming in, they're looking for a vinyl, like a $2 vinyl, and they have big dogs or something like that, right? And you're like, no, here's a better option because of this, and this, a little bit of specs, but this is what will happen based in your living situations with what you want to buy, and this is a better product for what you got. And when they believe you, they're like, you have to be honest for people to really believe you. People could get away with it, but if you're honest and that transcends to them, and they trust you, then they will buy that product, even if it means going up a couple bucks.
Well, and that's one of my favorite selling points, to be honest, is everyone gets hung up, but they're, you got a 2,000 square foot house. I'm anywhere from $11 to $17 a square foot, depending on what's coming out, what's going in, but that includes $450 to $550 in product allowance. So, let's say that it's all tile coming out and I'm expensive, and it's $15 a square foot on a 2,000 square foot house. It's $30,000. That's a significant amount of money. We can upgrade you to this floor that's $1 more, but it's way better. You're going to get twice the value out of it.
Yeah. We
went from 30 to 32. Is $2,000 between 30 and 32,000 really a big deal? Hell no. It's a drop in the bucket at that point, man. And I think a lot of times people get afraid of trying to sell on price. Price is one of the last things people are looking at, and you can get them to understand the other benefits and values that you're bringing into their home with this product. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter that it's $35,000.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit on the price. The only thing that got me would be like, we're all selling an iPhone if you're on the same product, and some people try to sell the same iPhone for twice the price of what, they should be selling it for, because they think that they have good insulation. And it's like, you could raise your installation prices, but you shouldn't be raising your material price.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, but that doesn't hurt any other store or anything like that, in my opinion. That really just hurts their customer that they're selling to, which is going to, in the end, hurt them, because you'll get a reputation for being high priced.
Which, look, I don't mind that. I actually that's where I prefer to operate in the market, is I want to be the high price guy. Do I think my products are high priced? No, I think my products are priced fairly for what they bring to the table. My installation is expensive. There's people doing it cheaper for sure, but I'm happy where I'm at. But I don't, I've gotten the comments of, oh, well, I didn't call you at first because your name sounded expensive, right? So like Illustrious Hardwood sounds expensive, which is kind of what I want. Like, I want to pre-qualify people before they ever show up. And so having a good name, having a good brand out there, being able to put this content out is all very, very helpful in establishing the clientele you're going to get, right? You can control especially with the short form media, you could control very easily who you're attracting to your company just based on the words you choose to describe products or situations.
That's my take, is that you should get it on your labor. And that's, I mean, prep is expensive, and that's the difference. And you just got to, during your sales presentation or on your content, explain that this prep, the cost and the time that goes into, self-leveling an entire house, or the time that is done to grind and, flatten the floor with check it for a moisture barrier, or check the actual concrete moisture levels, and then put a moisture barrier on that, moisture control. So it's like, that's expensive. That's where you get a lot of your money. And if you explain it to customers, like, hey, if you don't put this moisture control in your concrete and you don't self-level, your floor will fail. I don't want my floor to fail. Sorry, it's expensive, but I didn't make the prices. The companies that sell the material really dictate the majority of that price.
Definitely. And, look, I can't guarantee that anything's going to fail. I can tell you that it says it has a high probability, but I've seen some of the worst installed floors not fail, and some that were really, really close and missed something fail. It's a crapshoot. So you got to build in liability. I get it, but I'd rather sell on this is how we do it right, and provide you with the best possible outcome, as opposed to, let's roll the dice and see what happens by cutting a corner here or there. And I think that's where a lot of stores are at, is it's like, no, just go get it done. We got to move on. Get it done. We got to move on. And that's not going to work long term.
Well, I like the idea of putting that on the social media stuff. Just wrote it down.
Okay. I'm going to need a 10% cut. Don't worry. We'll set that up afterwards, and we'll be good to go. Jason, I appreciate your insights. Is there anything we didn't hit on that you think would be really valuable to the audience before we wrap this up?
We hit on a lot. But the most value would be just to post. And to just get started, have your index everywhere. Put yourself out there, especially for the installers. Put yourself out there. Get your referrals, and even if you're not wanting to take material jobs, if you work for a shop, that shop's going to love you a lot more if you pass them the material and you do the labor. So, and they're going to love that you're bringing people into their store while you film yourself installing at their store.
There you go. Great advice for some subcontractors out there to be able to build a better relationship with the store they're working for. So. Love it. All right, folks. We have a quick word from Tice, and then I will close this out here. When will the highly anticipated new season of Tice TV from the International Surface Events be streaming in 2023? Coming this April to Tice is the premiere of the Spring Product Celebration Series. This season will deep dive into products and services from across the flooring, stone, and tile industry, featuring impressive brands such as Shaw, One Floor, Laser Products, and more, plus exciting celebrity news. The new season is being hosted by the iconic Lisbeth Calandrino, who has been captivating the industry and her audiences with eye-opening points, practical tips, and engaging personal stories through her industry experiences, books, and motivational speaking. Discover more at TiceTV.com. That's TiceTV.com. And follow Tice TV on Facebook for live airing alerts. Folks, if you want to help the show out, leave a review. That's going to go really, really far in helping the show garner more attention. If the show is helping you, help me help others by going and leaving a review on Apple. Leave a 5 stars over on Spotify or whatever your listening app of choice is. If you're international, please. I got a little bit of presence there. A couple reviews on the international front would not hurt. So that'll do a lot. If you want to help support the show, you can do so. Go over to flooracademypod.com. We got the shop. You can pick up a cool t-shirt, a hoodie, beanies, hats, I think there's socks. There's fanny packs if you want to look the coolest at the trade shows, because everyone's got to carry a water bottle around. We never drink enough water. So be the coolest person ever with a Floor Academy fanny pack. You can help support the show at patreon.com/Floor Academy. Even $5 a month goes a long way in helping me to continue to produce this content. And, boy, I think that's it. So I got, we'll read 2 reviews here. Excuse me. CDB1177 says, lots of good info on life and business. And Sport Girls says, I am new to the flooring industry and I just bought a franchise. This podcast is great to learn new terms and how I should operate my new business. I am binge listening to every episode. All right, Jason, thank you very much for your time and insights. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And that'll do it for us this week. We will catch you next week, everyone.